All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the elders of Great Millstone, who rule very well, very beautifully. Double salutations unto the Akim I heard pushing his gospel in truth and in sincerity to the best of their ability. Give it to them by Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election of Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord, will live upon your houses. This is the brother Quanah Watts from the Arizona Great Millstone Camp. Come back at you, Lord will, with the edifying lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord will. It is edifying, Lord will. It is straight to the point. In this lesson, right, I want to ultimately speak on, departing from this place spiritually, man, because all too much, right, do we see these people in the world, man, when we go to work and, go out in the world and, and deal, right, we see that these people are extremely attached, to, these things that are of the world, right, their phone, their car, 401k, their job, and the title of that they have at their job, and so on and so forth, man. Now, it's not wicked, right? It's not evil, right, to have, to be in a higher up position at your job. It's not wicked to have a nice car. It's not wicked to have a house. It's not wicked to have any of those things, but you shouldn't make those things, your end all be all, man. Which is what these people in the world do, man, right? If someone ultimately loses their 401k, or their retirement, or they lose their job, it's the end of the world, right? Or if their phone breaks, it's the end of the world, right? We cannot be in that mentality, man, at all, right? We have to spiritually depart from these things. If the Lord ultimately takes these things away from us, right, hey, then we have to ultimately continue to move on. Because in this truth, in this ministry, on this walk, you're going to lose a lot more than you're going to gain, man. Especially first coming in, you're going to lose a hell of a lot more than you're going to gain, right? And that's part of, counting that cost, right? Understanding that there is a cost, And in order for you to continue to walk on that path, again, you have to spiritually depart, from these things, right? To spiritually depart from this world. Right, because this world pushes, what is that term? Materialism, man. Right, it pushes materialism. It pushes, right, being, reliant, right, on these different things, man. Which again, we can't be in that spirit, But I'm gonna start right here. This 1 John 2:15. It says, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him," right? You can't love these things, man. It's not saying that you can't have them, right? You can have a nice car. You can have, a nice phone, man, right? But you're not putting those things above Yahweh Shemel Shai. You're not making those things your end all be all, right? If it gets stolen or gets broken, or something happens to where now it's you just don't have it anymore. And now it's the end of your world. It's the end of your life. Type shit, like a lot of these, younger folks be doing, Again, you cannot be in that spirit, man. Right? Verse 16, "For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world," man. Right? And the Lord said what? Right? He told us not to worry about, right, what we're going to eat, what we're going to drink, right? We're not going to worry about tomorrow, for those are the things that the Gentiles worry about, man. We got to be worried about today, right? Praying to the Lord that he allow us to make it through the day. Praying to the Lord that he allow us to continue to walk on this path. That's what we need to be worried about, man. Not these things that are of the world, man. Because again, as we're going to read, right, in 2 Corinthians, the 4th chapter, these things that are of the world, they're temporal, man. They're not going to last long, right? They have an expiration date, right? So why ultimately put, your hopes and your dreams, right, and your affections, right, on these things that are of the world, right, when they're not going to benefit you, right? It says, and the world passeth away in the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of the Most High abideth forever, right? These things are going to pass away, man. Again, they have an expiration date, right? They're not going to last long, right? Let's grab that. 2 Corinthians 4 and verse 18, just hitting the point. It says, while we look not at the things which are seen, right? We don't look at these things, that we have, right? We're not worried about these things, right? If the Lord took, something from us tomorrow, we got to pray to the Lord that he ultimately, let it be your car, right? Pray to the Lord that he ultimately make a way that you can still go to work and take care of your bills, man, right? And trust and believe that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua will make a way, right? If the Lord ultimately, takes our phone away from us tomorrow, right? Yeah, in this world, right, you technically have to have a phone, but hey, Lord, pray to the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, right? That he ultimately allow you, to, either get another phone or fix your phone, right? So that way you can continue to take care, of what you need to take care of, man. We're not worried about these things, man. If it breaks, it breaks. If it don't, it don't. Right? That's the kind of mentality you have to have, right? As with things in the world, man. Right? You can't be too attached to these things, right? Because again, we're coming into a time where Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is going to take all these things away. Right? It says, but at the things which are not seen, for the things which are seen are temporal, right? They're temporary, right? They have an expiration date, right? But the things which are not seen are eternal. Right? Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, the kingdom, right? Everlasting life. Those things are all eternal. Right? Those things don't have an expiration date. They don't have an end. Right? Though again, it says eternal, right? Let's look up that word eternal. Right? Eternal. Right? It says eternal. It says of an age lasting, enduring, permanent, everlasting, endless, right? Of great age, vital force, life, long life, right? It says, right here, right? Let's read this. It says, used since Middle English, both of things or conditions without beginning or end, and things with a beginning only, but no end. Temporal, eternal, not temporal, eternal, right? These things that are in the world, they don't, you can look at, parts on a car, right? They break down every so often, right? Houses and buildings need to be, reconstructed, rebuilt, right? Food, right, has an expiration date. Everything that we see here has an expiration date. But see, serving Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, laying up them spiritual riches, right, gathering up this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, all this is eternal, right? There's no expiration date to doing these things. There's no expiration date to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, right? So we're not supposed to look at the things that we see, the things that we can ultimately physically attain, right? We're supposed to look at things spiritually, with that spiritual eye, man. And that's where our focus should be at, man. But I want to grab one more precept, man. And then I'll close out it. Ultimately wanted to, just hit that point. But I'll grab this. 2 Esdras 14 and verse 13. It says, now therefore set thine house in order and reprove thy people. Comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption. Right? Following in the ways of the world. Right? Scriptures talk about, the Lord made us a holy people, right? A separate people, man, right? So we're not supposed to follow, the mentality and the characteristics of this world, man. We're supposed to be separate, not following, the world, right? Scriptures say, follow not a multitude to do evil, right? We're supposed to be separate, man. Right? It says, let go from the immortal thoughts and cast away the burdens of man. Put off now the weak nature. Right? And here's the point. It says, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. That's right, man. All right? We got to spiritually depart. Right? spiritually depart and put our focus, right, on Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, right? Not on the things in the world. Because again, as we just read in 2 Corinthians 4th chapter, the 18th verse, that these things that are in the world, they have an expiration date. Whereas Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai is eternal. You know? Scripture saying Matthew's I think it's it's like the 6th chapter. Matthew's the 6th chapter. Right? I'm just going to quote it. You can go look it up for yourself. Matthew's the 6th chapter says, wherever your treasure is, there will your heart be also, man. Right? So whatever you find value in is what you're going to be focused on. Right? And something that is eternal ultimately has unlimited value. You know? And that's where our mind should be at. That's where, we should be looking, looking towards. Right? Not the things of the world, which have an expiration date, which means, guess what? Right? It has low value. Low or little value. So just keep your mind focused on Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. You keep your mind focused, right, on the things that are eternal. Right? And Lord, will we be of that number? Hey, we're going to receive eternal life. We're going to receive all that be eternal. But that's all I got, man. I just wanted to, hit that lesson, man. Lord will, it was edifying. Lord will, straight to the point. I want to give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, B'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, B'Hashem, Rachak Wadash. Again, double honor to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the elders, a great millstone. Until next time, I say shalom.